The midnight market. 1. The evening begins. Amara lived at the edge of a small town where the tar road turned into red earth, and the red earth turned into a path. After the path came the trees, and after the trees came talk, old talk, village talk, the kind that says don't go there at night and don't answer when the forest calls your name. People laughed at this talk in the daytime. People were careful with it after dark. Amara was a careful person. She liked straight shelves and doors that closed properly. She tied her hair with a simple cloth and wore sandals that lasted many rainy seasons. She sold clay pots in a market on Saturdays and mended cracked ones for free on Sundays. Her hands were strong and gentle. She spoke softly and listened hard. Kofi was her younger brother. He was quick to smile and quick to run. He loved sweet bread, loud drums, and any road that curved. He had a way of meeting trouble like it was an old friend. He also had a way of escaping it with the same energy. People said he would either be very lucky or very unlucky. It was still too early to tell. On the night our story begins, the sky held a thin moon like a fingernail. The heat of the day had fallen away, and the evening air was good to breathe. Children were called inside. Cooking fire settled. Radio spoke softly. Dogs made their rounds and then lay down like folded blankets. Amara and Kofi ate together in the small courtyard behind their house. They shared yam and stew and a joke about a man who tried to sell rain. When the plates were clean, Amara washed them and Kofi dried them, and the two of them sat for a while without doing anything, which is sometimes the nicest way to sit. Listen, Kofi said. Amara held still. At first she heard only crickets and the far voice of a generator. Then, faint and far, she heard a drum. It was not the church drum or the football drum. It was a thin, quick drum like feet on a wooden bridge. It came from the trees. Kofi grinned. Do you hear? People are dancing in the forest. People are resting in the forest, Amara said. We will rest too. But the drum came again. A second drum joined it, lower like a reply. The two drums spoke to each other in a language of call and answer. Then laughter floated on the wind, soft at first, then bright as broken glass. Kofi stood. I only want to see, he said. Just see and come back. We do not follow strange music at night, Amara said. She said it like she had been taught to say it, because she had since she was small. Then I will go, and you can tell me not to go when I return, Kofi joked. His eyes were already on the path. Amara sighed. She knew how easy it was to lose a brother to a dare, to pride, to a road he thought would be short. She also knew that if she stayed, her feet would still be on the step, and her mind would be in the trees. She wrapped a scarf around her shoulders. I am coming with you, she said. Kofi's smile flashed. Just to see, he said again. Just to see, she agreed, but her voice did not trust the words. They left the courtyard and went through the gate. The night was friendly at first. The path was easy to follow. The grasses on either side held the day's warmth and gave it back in little breaths. Fireflies wrote bright dots in the dark and then erased them. The drums grew clearer. The laughter grew nearer. The smell of palm oil and fried sugar drifted between the trees. Kofi walked faster. Amara kept up and kept watch. At the mouth of the forest path stood an old woman with a basket on her head. The basket was empty, which is unusual at night. She watched the two of them as a mother watches children at a river. Good evening, Amara said. Good evening, the woman answered. You are walking in the direction where people go and do not return. Kofi laughed. We are only going to look. Your eyes are hungry, the woman said to him. They will eat before your mouth does, and then your feet will follow. Kofi shifted his weight and tried to smile in a polite way. We will be careful, he said. The old woman turned her face to Amara. You are the girl who mends pots. Yes, Mama. Listen to me then, pot mender. If you enter the market that is not a market, remember 3 rules. 1. Do not eat. 2. Do not give your name. 3. If a bell rings and the sellers grow quiet, close your mouth and breathe only through your nose. Do these 3 things, and you may come home by your own door. Amara felt her skin tighten, as if the air had become too small. What market, Mama? The one that opens when the moon is thin, the woman said. The one that sells what people think cannot be bought. Kofi's eyes were bright. Where is it? The woman pointed with her chin. The drums laughed again, closer now. You'll find it, she said. She shifted her empty basket like a queen adjusting her crown. You will also lose it, which is the nature of such places. Go, or go back. I'm not your mother. We will remember, Amara said. She took Kofi's hand, and they went into the trees. 2. The gate of the market. The night changed inside the forest. It was not darker. It was richer. Leaves whispered in a language older than people. Tree trunks held up the sky like pillars in a temple nobody built. The path curved and curved again. Once it split, and then joined itself as if it had forgotten which way was forward. The drums were now on both sides, like laughter in a crowded room. A gate stood where there had been no walls. It was made of hanging beads, bones of small fish, shells, and little wooden masks no bigger than a palm. The beads clicked when the wind moved. A sign hung above them. It did not carry letters. It carried a picture of a sleeping man with his hand open as if he were about to receive something he did not deserve. Kofi pushed aside the beads. They made a rain of sound. Another smell came, strong and sweet, the smell of hot oil and sugar and crushed fruit. Amara's stomach remembered she had eaten early and not much. She put a hand there and told it to behave. They stepped through. The midnight market was busy, but not loud. It was a busy like ants in a story, not a busy like cars in a city. There were many stalls. There were many sellers. The buyers looked like people and like not people. A short woman sold glass bottles of laughter. Each bottle held a different laugh. A baby's bubble laugh. A drunk uncle's cough laugh. A laugh that sounded like it had been taken from the throat of a river. A young man tasted a drop from one bottle, and his face opened like a window to sun. Next to her stood a tall man in a coat that changed color when he moved. He sold shadows. Long shadows for tall men who had none. Wide shadows for small women who wanted to be noticed from far away. Thin shadows that slipped under doors. Shadows of birds for people who wished to fly in their sleep. A boy with a hat too big for his head sold dreams like fruit. He called out in a soft voice. Fresh mango dream. Fresh guava dream. Sweet dream. Storm dream. Dream of first love. Dream of last day. He traded only for whispers. People put their mouths to his ear and gave something none of us could hear. The boys had stayed big and stayed hungry. A woman with a wall of mirrors sold faces. Not masks, faces. Some were kind, some cruel, some beautiful in a simple way, and some beautiful like a knife. People tried them on and looked at themselves and sometimes cried because they did not recognize what they wanted until they wore it. An old man sold time. Not clocks, not watches. Years. He sold 1 year for a price no one asked out loud, and a girl paid it. She stood straighter after, as if someone had returned a bone to her spine. The old man looked thinner, as if someone had taken a piece of him too. Perhaps that was the price. Music walked between the stalls with its head high. Spices talked with smoke. Colors did not behave. Kofi's eyes ate and ate. Amara did not let go of his hand. They passed a stall where a woman sold people's names. She kept them in low dishes like coins. She lifted them one by one with a clean metal spoon and let them fall back so they made a music like rain on a roof. A sign on her table said, "No refunds. No questions. No true name given twice." Amara and Kofi kept moving. They were careful to look and not to reach. They were careful to smile and not to agree. Amara remembered the old woman's rules. She held them in her mind like 3 stones she could count by touch. A smell came that was simple and strong. It was the smell of cake just pulled from oil. It smelled like every morning a child hoped for. It smelled like the first time someone said welcome and meant it. It wrapped itself around Kofi's hunger and pulled. He turned his head. The stall was small. The seller was younger than Amara, older than Kofi. His hair was braided with tiny bells that did not ring. On his table lay cakes the color of new gold. Sugar dusted them fine. A little steam rose from their sides, and then disappeared, and then rose again, as if the cakes were breathing. The seller smiled at Kofi. He did not smile with his mouth. He smiled with patience, with confidence, with the surety that the river finally reaches the sea. He held out a cake in his palm the way a brother holds out a secret. "No," Amara said, quickly and softly. She did not raise her voice. She did not shame Kofi. She only said no, as if the word could be a shade over their heads. The seller turned his smile to her. He did not look angry. He looked like a tailor who has measured the cloth and knows where to cut. He set the cake down and flicked a drop of oil off his finger. It landed with a little sound like a drum, as far away as the first drum had been. It is not for sale, the seller said. It is for tasting. Then it is for refusing, Amara said. Kofi laughed a small laugh, the kind he made when he wanted to seem brave. Sister, it is only a taste. Only a taste is how trouble enters, Amara said. The seller picked up a cake and held it out again, closer now. The sugar on it caught the light like sand at noon. The smell warmed the space under Amara's tongue like a promise made by someone she trusted. She took one step back and reached for Kofi's hand. Kofi let her hold it. He even squeezed, but his eyes did not leave the cake. I have never smelled anything like this, he said. His voice was soft and sorry, as if he were telling the truth to someone who would not like it. I only want to know. You will know you are caught, Amara said. She was still calm. She was still sure. Inside, she felt the air get thin again. The seller kept his hand out. He said nothing now. He did not need to say anything. He knew something Amara also knew and hated. A person can be pulled by a wish the way a fish is pulled by a hook it has already swallowed. Kofi's hand slipped in her hand. His fingers loosened like a knot the river has been working on. Amara held tighter. Kofi looked at her, and in his eyes she saw hunger and apology at the same time. The way a child's mouth can hold a smile and a cry together before one wins. He took the cake. Don't, Amara whispered. It was a whisper with teeth. He raised it to his mouth. He took a bite. 3. The market turns. The drum stopped. Everything in the midnight market paused, as if someone had said hush with both hands. People turned their heads the way sunflowers turn to follow light. The sellers did not move. Their stillness was sharper than a shout. Kofi chewed. The sugar broke with a soft sound. His face changed in the small way a face changes when it meets a taste it has been searching for without knowing. His shoulders eased. His eyelids lowered. He looked like a boy who had come home. The seller who had given the cake did not smile now. He did not frown. He watched Kofi the way a fisherman watches the float on water. Someone spoke. It was not a voice anyone could point to. It was not loud. It reached everywhere. It was the kind of voice a crowd makes when it breathes in together. The boy has eaten, the voice said. The boy has eaten, the sellers repeated, as calm as accountants. Their words went stall to stall like a coin being counted. Amara felt cold run up from the ground into her legs and stop at her heart. She pulled Kofi's hand, but it did not feel like his hand anymore. It felt like a hand doing what it wanted with no attention to hers. I paid you nothing, she said to the seller. You paid enough, he said. He lifted his chin slightly toward Kofi. He paid with yes. Amara remembered the 3 rules. The first was do not eat. They had broken it. The second was do not give your name. She held her tongue tight behind her teeth. The third was if a bell rings, breathe only through your nose. No bell had rung. Not yet. What is the price? Amara asked. Her voice was quiet. There was no begging in it. She spoke as a woman in a shop speaks when she buys soap. The seller with the bells in his hair opened his palm. He belongs to the market until the first rooster, he said. After that, he belongs forever. He is my brother, Amara said. Then you should have kept him with you, the seller said. A market is not a mother. A shape moved at the end of the row. People made a path the way leaves part for wind. Something came that was not a man and not a woman and not a thing that cares about those words. It were a robe of threads that held tiny mirrors. Every mirror showed a different face, and every face watched. It carried a staff made of wood so old that time had polished it smooth. The sellers lowered their heads. The buyers stepped back. The shape stopped in front of the cake seller's stall. When it spoke, many voices came at once and then braided themselves into one. What is broken? It asked. The rule, the cake seller said. He did not sound afraid. He sounded correct. He ate. The shape looked at Kofi. The mirrors on its robe flashed and went still. He is claimed, it said, unless law is answered by law. What is the law? Amara asked. She did not whisper. She made her mouth steady. Everything can be traded, the shape said. Also, Not everything can be traded. You must know which is which. You must know when you are being fooled by words and when you are the one trying to fool words. Amara thought of bargaining over yams, of fixing a pot with a crack too wide for clay, of choosing a husband and choosing not to. She thought of the day their mother died and their father went silent, and then learned to speak again around the hole in his life. She thought of Kofi running like a dog that has never been tied. What will you take for him? She asked. Not a thing, said the shape. A thing would be simple. We won't hold a person together. Amara looked at Kofi. His eyes were clear, but they were looking past her into a place she could not see. My shadow, she said. Take it. The mirrors on the robe showed her shadow rising and falling like a small dark tide. A shadow is a tool, the shape said. Not enough. My name, she said quickly, hating the fear that moved in her belly as she offered it. Your name is a door, the shape said. Without it you will not be found again. Not enough for us and too much for you. Amara swallowed. My ears. Which? Asked the shape. The mirrors turned like the eyes of fish. The ones behind you or the ones ahead? The ones ahead, she said. Her voice did not tremble, which surprised her and then made her angry, because anger would not help. People always offer years they do not yet understand, the shape said, almost kindly. What you give, you must give awake. Kofi touched the table. It was a small movement, but it was his. Amara saw it and took heart. She did not know another law. She did not have another coin. Then she remembered what the old woman had said. If a bell rings and the sellers grow quiet, close your mouth and breathe only through your nose. No bell had rung, but the market was quiet. Not silent. Quiet like a field before rain. Amara felt something in her chest that was older than her fear and deeper than her voice. She took Kofi's hand. Listen, she said. Do you remember the song Mother sang when the rain stayed away and the goats cried and you were small and would not sleep? Kofi blinked. His eyes moved from the cake to her face. I remember the rhythm, he said. I do not remember the words. I remember them, Amara said. She closed her mouth for a heartbeat and breathed through her nose. Then she sang. 4. The Song and the Run. It was not a long song. It was not clever. It did not try to do magic. It did what all true songs do. It walked back through time and brought something forward. Her voice was low and soft and steady. The first words were older than both of them. The last words were their mother's own. The melody knew the way home better than Amara did. The market did not like the song. It was not a big dislike. It was a fine one, like the dislike a cat has for water in the wrong place. The mirrors on the robe turned their faces away. The cakes lost a little shine. The bottles of laughter buzzed like flies trapped in glass. Enough, the shape said without force. Amara kept singing. Kofi tried to follow. His first notes were clumsy, as if he were wearing his father's shoes. Then his voice found the path and stepped into it. It was not as sweet as a child's, not as deep as a man's. It was the voice of a brother trying not to cry. That voice is strong. It does not need to be beautiful. The cake seller reached for Kofi. Amara took a step back. Buyers and sellers closed in without moving their feet. The space got smaller. The air got thinner. The stall with the names began to ring like spoons on a tray. The boy with the dream fruit opened his mouth and then closed it again because he had no permission to speak here. Go, Amara whispered between lines. Do not run. Walk. Keep the song in your mouth. They walked. The path between stalls was a thread, and the market pulled it tight. Amara and Kofi kept singing. The song made a small room around them. It did not keep everything out. It kept enough out. They reached the gate of beads and bones and shells. The beads clicked. The masks looked down with their little eyes and did nothing, which is sometimes the best help. Amara pushed the strands aside with her elbow. She would not let go of Kofi's hand for even a second. They stepped through. Do not stop, Amara said. Do not stop for any reason. They walked the path. The trees stood the way trees stand when they have seen humans make mistakes before. The night air felt clean like water. Behind them, the drums began again, slower this time, as if tired or thinking. The laughter returned, the market breathed, and the two of them were no longer inside it. They did not speak. They kept the song going even when their throats hurt. They walked past the place where the old woman had stood with her basket. She was not there. They walked past the place where the grasses breathed back the day's heat. The heat was gone. When the first roof of the town showed between branches, Kofi's voice broke and stopped. Amara finished the song alone. She did not add a final note to make it pretty. She let it end the way it wanted by finding the ground. They reached their gate. Amara lifted the latch with a hand that shook. They went inside. She closed the gate and set the wooden bolt. Then she turned to Kofi and put both hands on his face. He looked like himself. He also looked like someone who had left a room while his body stayed. His lips still shone with a little sugar. His eyes were wet in a way that was not crying. He tried to smile and failed. "I am sorry," he said. It came out plain and full of shame. "You will be sorry tomorrow," Amara said. She did not say it to be cruel. She said it to make space so they could be safe now and tell the truth later. She poured water into a blue cup and handed it to him. "Rinse your mouth. Spit. Again. Again." He did as she told him. She rinsed too, though she had not eaten. Then she put the cup upside down to dry, because that is what you do with a cup, even on a night like this. They sat on the step together. The town was alive the way a sleeping animal is alive. A radio sang a love song badly. A child somewhere cried and then stopped. A motorbike passed with a soft, stubborn sound. Kofi took Amara's hand. He held it tighter than he had held it at the market. "I would have gone," he said. "If you had not, I would have gone." "I know," Amara said. She rested her head on his shoulder. She could feel his heart still running. "And I would have gone after you until I could not. Then I would have waited until a door opened. Then I would have gone again." Kofi began to cry in a way that did not ask for attention. It was the private crying people do when they have found out what a promise costs. Amara cried too, quietly, because she had learned something heavy and did not want to drop it. 5. The morning after. In the morning, they went to the old woman at the mouth of the path. She was there with her basket again, full of bananas now, which is the right way to see a basket in daylight. "You came back by your own door," she said. "Good." Kofi bowed his head. "Mama ate." "I know," she said. "You are not the first. You will not be the last. Hold your tongue when your eyes are hungry. That is the lesson." She put 2 bananas in his hand and 1 in Amara's. "Eat these in the sun where food belongs." "We did not pay you," Amara said. "You will," the woman answered, smiling a smile like a sewing needle. "You will carry a story safely and tell it properly, without adding sugar where harm is better. That will be my payment." She looked at Kofi. "And you will become the kind of man who does not make his sister sing to bring him home. That will be interest." Kofi swallowed. "Yes, Mama." They thanked her and went away. They did not eat the bananas until they reached their own courtyard. They peeled them. They ate slowly. They laughed once at how ordinary the taste was, and how beautiful. For a long time after that, Kofi could smell sugar when there was none. It came to him when he passed a shop, when he turned a corner, when he opened a book. When it came, he pressed his tongue to the roof of his mouth and waited. The urge passed like a cloud when you do not follow it. Amara noticed other changes. Doors pleased her more when they shut well. She oiled hinges. She fixed a neighbor's gate that had been catching for months. She liked the sound of things working. She liked the way a small rule can hold a large danger in place. Sometimes, late in the evening, music came from the trees. It was not always drums. Sometimes it was a flute, high and lonely. Sometimes it was a chorus of voices singing a language that was made of taste and color more than words. Amara would pause with her hand on the latch. She would think of the hang of beads and bones. She would think of a robe of mirrors. She would think of the way Kofi's hand had felt when it was his, and the way it had felt when it was almost not. "Not tonight," she would say to the music, the way you might speak to a neighbor who means well but chooses bad hours. The music would continue, but it would no longer be for her. On the next market day, Amara sold pots. People told stories as they bought. One woman swore she had seen a cow jump over a hut. A man said a snake had blocked the road and made every driver wait until it finished crossing. Children traded rumors like marbles. No one spoke of a market that wasn't a market. No one spoke of cakes. That was fine. Some stories travel with noise. Others travel by staying quiet until they are needed. At night, when the world cooled and the bugs repaired their music, Kofi would sometimes come to the doorway and stand there and say, I will sit with you. And Amara would say, sit. And he would, and they would not talk much. They were learning that safety can be as sweet as danger if you give it time. 6. The lesson. You want a moral. People always do. It is good to want one. It helps the heart carry the story when the story is heavier than the heart by itself. Here is the moral Amara chose. Not everything that looks like a gift is a gift, especially at night, especially when you are hungry. Learn what your hunger is truly for. Here is the moral Kofi chose. When someone who loves you sings for you, do not make them sing twice for the same mistake. And here is the quiet lesson the old woman with the basket might give if you met her at the mouth of the path on a thin moon night. The world has many markets. Some are for buying. Some are for losing. Some are for learning the price of yes. If you must go, go with a song that knows your way home. That is the story. It is a true story in the way good stories are true. It will be true again if you carry it properly. If one night you hear drums that sound like feet on a wooden bridge, if you smell sugar where there is no kitchen, if you see light where there should be only leaves, remember the 3 rules. Hold the hand that holds yours, and keep a small song with you for the road.